Happy Hump Day. What's up, folks? This is Michael in the wee hours, in the dead of night, on the graveyard shift with your daily trivia questions. Once again, Wednesday, my favorite day, halfway there. We just got to get over that hump, finish off the week. I went outside, folks. It's cold. I'm telling you, I don't know about all you guys, but I'm not ready for this kind of cold weather just yet. I like the fall air, the fall coolness, but that's a little too much for me out there right now. Break out the hoodies, break out the jackets. I guess we'll just have to get used to it. It's that time of year for sure. Anywho, I digress. Hope your week is going well. The answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, if you weren't able to figure it out from the clue, the whale, which is what the story originally was named, the answer is Moby Dick, Herman Melville's great American novel. The book is the sailor Ishmael's narrative of the obsessive quest of Ahab, the evil Ahab, captain of the whaling ship called the Pequod. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that right. I'm sure I'm butchering the name of the whaling ship. If I am, please forgive me. For revenge against Moby Dick, the great white sperm whale that on the ship's previous voyage had bitten off Ahab's leg at the knee. Ahab had a peg leg, and he was the captain of a whaling ship. Go figure. So Melville began writing Moby Dick in February of 1850 and finished 18 months later, a year after he had anticipated finishing. He was a little behind on it. It took him a while, right? So Melville drew on his experience as a common sailor, which he was himself in real life, from 1841 to 1844. Now let's review the plot just a little bit. Ahab makes it well known early on that he is out for revenge on the white whale, which took one leg from the knee down and left him with the prosthesis leg fashioned from a whale's jawbone. How do you like that? And Ahab becomes a little obsessive, to say the very least. And on an eventual basis, he would stand for like 24 hours and walk up and down the deck of the Pequod in anticipation of confronting Moby Dick. And he was bold about it. He made this clear to everybody on the ship. And an eventual and inevitable chase ensues between Ahab and Moby Dick. Once Ahab spots the great whale, where he harpoons the whale, the line gets tangled, and Ahab stoops to free it, and in doing so the line loops around Ahab's neck, and as the stricken whale swims away, so does Ahab, the captain, as he is drawn with him out of sight. How's that for it? There she blows. Oh my goodness. There's no spoiler here, folks. It's kind of like Titanic. The boat sinks in the end, right? There's no spoiler alert here. The whale wins this fight, right? And Ahab's obsession with killing Moby Dick brings about his own death, as well as those of all that were on the Pequod, except for one, Ishmael, of course, the novel's narrator. We can't kill off Ishmael. Who's going to tell the story, right? So a couple of cool geek factoids about Moby Dick. Moby Dick was published to mixed reviews and was a commercial failure once it hit the United States. It was originally published in London. A month later, broke in the United States and was a flop. It was out of print completely at the time of the author's death in 1891. Its reputation as a great American novel wasn't established until later on in the 20th century, quite frankly. Call Me Ishmael. That's the opening line to the book. It's among the world's literature's most famous openings, and that's why I really didn't include it in the trivia question, because if I would have put Call Me Ishmael in the trivia question, you would have known exactly what I was talking about. As if it wasn't an easy enough question to begin with, I had to make it a little challenging. It sets the stage of the book as who is going to be narrating it. Again, Call Me Ishmael, famous opening to Moby Dick. There's endless depth to Moby Dick in its meaning. Okay, and this became well known and interpreted as the years went by, like I was saying, well into the 20th century, long after Herman Melville had come and gone and passed away and had actually written the book. The ambiguity that Herman Melville built into his depiction of the whale makes Moby Dick all that much more interesting, which is one of the reasons it's cited today as a famous book, and again, long after he had died. It's been quoted by one New York Times critic as saying it's barely a book at all. It's more an act of transference of ideas and evocations hung around the vast and unknowable shape of the whale. That's maybe reading a little bit too much into it, but the whole concept of the whale and the interpretation and the meaning of the whale has been picked apart by talking heads and editorialists and newspapers over the years. The hunt for the whale, the characters, the whale itself. There's all kinds of so-called philosophical meanings abound in the book. There's a lot of different philosophical interpretations and citations that I found in my research that relate to Moby Dick and the great white whale and Ahab's obsessive quest on finding this whale that once took his leg, and Ishmael's narrative of the whole thing. Have you ever read it? That's my question to you. What does the whale to you in Moby Dick mean? And when I say read it, I'm not just like me who went out and bought the Cliff Notes in my high school literature class, and without any shame. But seriously, if you've ever read the book, I'm interested to know what the whale means to you, what the chase means to you, what the characters mean to you, etc. Here's my other observation on it. Herman Melville, how'd you like to? The guy missed out on all this money. It was a flop, and then he died, and then it became well known. I hope there's a relative out there, or a estate of Herman Melville who's getting at least some royalties off of this for sure. But if you haven't read Moby Dick, add it to your catalog for sure. I'm sure it's in the bargain bin at Amazon. And there was a recent movie, I think Ethan Hawke stars in it, if my research serves me correctly, the most recent rendition of Moby Dick on the movie screen. I'm sure you can find that streaming somewhere on your 500 channels of nothing to watch. But Moby Dick, if you don't know the story, check it out if you get a chance. All right, folks, here we go, getting over that hump and hump day with a brand new trivia question. Off we go for October 19th. This is a cool trivia question. See if you remember this. This is from the 80s. On this day, in 1985, the very first of this store opens in Dallas, Texas, with over 8,000 selections to choose from on display, on shelves, wrapping around the store, and with the computerized checkout process. Good luck, folks. Have a wonderful Wednesday. A happy hump day. All that good stuff. Thanks for all you do. You guys are awesome. That's all there is to it. Peace out.